Chapter 261-successfully killed. Li Yi opened a door directly on the back of Sukazan Fuguki's head. However, this door is only the size of a palm. Therefore, Li Yi did not go out, but passed this door and looked to the outside world. Because Li Yi is using the power of space, Sukazan Fuguki can't feel the difference. If he saw a hole suddenly appear in the back of his head, how would he react? However, what puzzled Li Yi was that the door was dark and there was no light. As Sukazan Fuguki in the wild. Li Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. But that doesn't make sense either. Because, even in the wild, but there is moonlight and starlight, it is impossible to have no light at all. Where the hell is he? Li Yi frowned, thinking secretly in his heart. Violet beside him suddenly said, "Master, I think he may be sleeping." Huh? Li Yi blinked. Violet explained, "When sleeping, the back of the head is down, which is equivalent to covering it, so we can't see anything." However, as soon as Violet finished speaking, there was a grunting sound outside the door, and immediately, a face appeared in front of Li Yi's eyes. Woman's face. However, the woman was sleeping with her eyes closed. Violet guessed right, Sukazan Fuguki is really sleeping. Just now, Sukazan Fuguki should have turned over and the woman was sleeping beside him, so this scene appeared. Li Yi slaps his thigh. God help me too. He almost laughed out loud. However, in order to ensure that the plan is foolproof, Li Yi opened a door on Sukazan Fuguki's forehead, face, neck, etc., in many parts. Confirming that there were only Sukazan Fuguki and the woman in the room, and that no one was around, Li Yi grinned. "Violet, you wait here, I'll go out," Li Yi said. Originally, he wanted to bring Violet with him. If there was an accident, let Violet be the queen. But I didn't expect it to be so smooth. Yes. The Violet head tapped. Li Yi opened a door directly on Sukazan Fuguki's body. Went out. In the dimly lit room, there are two kinds of smells. One is sweat, the other is love times. Apparently, Sukazan Fuguki should have just finished his work not long ago. Li Yi quietly fell to the ground. Although Sukazan Fuguki was sleeping soundly, Li Yi still didn't trace any ink, instead he took out the Dinghaishan pin and smashed it at his head. However, at this moment, Sukazan Fuguki suddenly woke up. As a Jonin, he instinctively senses danger. Without the slightest hesitation, he immediately used the avatar technique. However, before he could finish the seal, the Rui golden hoop cudgel suddenly became good at it, and with a swipe, it penetrated his head. After a loud boom, Yuhi Beizi went to the ground. The woman next to her was awakened. However, as soon as she opened her eyes, she was silenced by Li Yi. Li Yi stood there, his whole body tense, maintaining a fighting state, waiting for the sound of the system to sound. Before the system confirms, who knows whether he killed a clone or a ghost. 10 seconds later, the crisp voice of the system finally sounded in my mind. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the task. Kill Sukazan Fuguki, and get 2 opportunities to evolve. Chapter 262 _ Frame the Blame. Hearing the crisp sound of the system, Li Yi finally breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't expect it to go so well. He grinned, revealing 2 rows of neat and white Kiba teeth, reflecting the cold light. Sukazan Fuguki's strength can be ranked in the entire ninja world at present. But, who would have thought that he didn't even know who killed him when he died? Also a kind of sadness. Li Yi did not leave immediately, but turned the Rui gold hoop into a needle shape and carved a few words on the wall. Uchiha Madara is here for a visit. Li Yi inherited the memory of the original owner. Therefore, he can understand and read and write the language of this world. After admiring his masterpiece, Li Yi smiled and clapped his hands. There was a sudden movement from the outside. Li Yi didn't stop there, and immediately used the door fruit to enter the space. Violet was waiting for him in the space. Seeing Li Yi suddenly appear, Violet asked. Master, did you succeed? Li Yi nodded. Well, let's go back. Good host. The violet head tapped. When he came, Li Yi consumed 20% of his energy. But, now, Li Yi is ready to consume 70% of his strength and go straight back to the border area of Konoha village. Konoha village border. Above a big tree, Li Yi and Violet appeared out of thin air. Li Yi was out of breath and sweaty. He still has less than 20% of his strength, can he not be tired? Violet asked with concern. Master, do you need me to support you? Li Yi shook his head. No, let's rest here for a while. Good. Violet nodded. Of course she doesn't need to rest. However, Li Yi needs to recover, so she will accompany him. Li Yi took a mouthful of ninja rations, drank a few mouthfuls of water, sat on the tree, closed his eyes and slowly recovered his strength. Violet has been releasing her senses, observing her surroundings. Suddenly, Violet said, Master, someone is coming. Huh. Li Yi had already dozed off, and when he heard this, he immediately opened his eyes. I saw not far away, several ninjas leapt and moved quickly, it should be Jonin. Li Yi said immediately, hide your breath. Violet did. Li Yi doesn't need to hide his breath. In the eyes of ninjas, he is just an ordinary person and won't be noticed. Because Li Yi and Violet didn't do anything, and the Jonins didn't see them, they were completely ignored. Li Yi saw their forehead guards and found that they were all ninjas from Konoha village. But, even so, Li Yi didn't want to get in touch with them. He's not in good shape right now and doesn't want to deal with any strangers. After 10 minutes. Li Yi's physical strength has recovered 40 to 5%. Li Yi stood up and said, go home directly. Before he finished speaking, he opened a door out of thin air above the void in front of him and walked in. Violet immediately followed. After 2 space jumps, the two finally returned home. Li Yi is taking a shower. Suddenly, he had some expectations. I wonder how Uchiha Madara will react when she sees that sentence. Grin. Today, Mizukage has been controlled by Uchiha Madara, and the 7 ninja swords have become Uchiha Madara's greatest weapon. Sukazan Fubuki, among the 7 people of the ninja sword, was not only killed, but also killed by Uchiha Madara. I wonder if Uchiha Madara will vomit blood after knowing this. And what will happen to the entire ninja world because of this? Looking forward to it. Chapter 263 Makoto is in danger. Uchiha Makoto is in a life and death crisis. The thing is, Uchiha Makoto teamed up with 2 other special Jonins to carry out an A-level mission together, but, on the way of the mission, Uchiha Makoto acted rashly, and now he is trapped in a cave, unable to escape, can only wait to die. The other 2 special Jonins escaped because they didn't enter the cave at all. According to the 2 of them, Uchiha Makoto suddenly rushed out as if he was deliberately seeking death, so he was trapped. That's the way it is. Sarutobi Hiruzen said while smoking a cigarette. Li Yi's eyes gradually narrowed into a slit. Before, he killed Sukazan Fubuki, and when he got home, it was very late. Originally, he had fallen asleep, but after 3 or 4 hours of sleep, Nara Shikaku woke him up from his sleep and brought him to the Hokage office. It's 4 or 5 in the morning, and it's not yet clear. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked again. As far as I know, Makoto is quite a disciplined person. With her character, she will never do such a behavior today. Li Yi, you live with her, what do you know? Li Yi shook his head. I don't know. In fact, how could Li Yi not know? For Uchiha Makoto's death-defying behavior, Li Yi is very aware of her psychology. That night, she boldly pushed Li Yi, but after doing it, she was scared again, so she ran away. She was afraid of facing Li Yi, her father, mother, and fiancé, so she made a choice. She must have felt that after she died, she would no longer be entangled. Li Yi, are you going to save her? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. Li Yi shook his head. 3 special Jonins work together to perform an A-level mission. I'm just a Chunin, what ability do I have to save her? Oh, you are so humble. Sarutobi Hiruzen laughed. He took a hard puff on his cigarette and said, actually, someone has already gone. Lee didn't even think about it, and asked directly, Uchiha Fugaku. Oh, did you guess that, or did you hear it? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. Surely it was him. Lee nodded. Orochimaru said before that if Uchiha Fugaku is going to attack him, it means that his retreat is over. He is Uchiha Makoto's fiancé. Now that Makoto is in danger, how could he miss this hero's chance to save beauty? Lee, let me remind you that if you don't go, Makoto will most likely be snatched by Uchiha Fugaku. Sarutobi Hiruzen said with narrowed eyes. Lee shook his head. They were originally fiancés, so it's not appropriate for me, a third party, to intervene between the two of them. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly cursed. I'm not really a man. Lee retorted. I'm a ninja. Sarutobi Hiruzen slapped the table. Then I will order you. Lee, I order you in the name of Hokage to save Uchiha Makoto. Yes. Lee nodded immediately. Sarutobi Hiruzen then smiled contentedly, sat down again, and said, don't worry, I will assign you a teammate and will not leave you alone. Thank you Lord Hokage. Lee nodded his thanks. Hee, don't thank me, I just don't want to watch people die. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head and smiled. Lord Hokage, I have a request. Lee said suddenly. Say. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. I'm going to bring Uzumaki violets. Lee said. That's right. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. Chapter 264-sacrifice. Lee never imagined that the reinforcement sent to him by Sarutobi Hiruzen turned out to be Tsunade. Lee recognized her at a glance with her long soft, pale yellow hair. What's more, Lee is very familiar with Tsunade's body fragrance and can't smell it wrong. However, Tsunade thought that Lee didn't recognize her, and said in a changed voice, let's go, time waits for no one. Lee did not reveal it, and nodded lightly. On the way. I'll tell you about the plan this time. Tsunade said, we went out this time, not to kill the enemy, but to save people. As long as we successfully save people, we will leave, and we must not deal with the enemy. What is the specific combat power of the enemy? Lee asked. 3 Jonins, 1 elite Jonin, several Chunin Genins. Tsunade replied, also, this is only the information when the 2 escaped back, there must be more now, you should be prepared. What's going on with Makoto now? I heard she's trapped in a cave, but no one outside can get in. Lee asked. That's right, that cave belongs to the connection between the psychic world and the real world. Now only Uchiha Makoto can enter and exit freely, and people from the outside cannot enter. Tsunade said, however, because that place is too precious and is a place where all major countries compete, I am afraid that around the cave, not only ninjas from the Land of Winds, but also ninjas from other countries must be waiting there. Makoto is surrounded by people now, how do you want to save Makoto? Lee frowned and asked. When we get there, signal Makoto to come out and we'll take her away. Tsunade replied. It's easier said than done. Lee flipped a Byakugan. So many eyes are watching, how can we run? If you can't, hit it. Tsunade's tone was cold. Is that so? Lee's eyes narrowed slightly. It appears that even Tsunade has no good plans. And, it seems, Sarutobi Hiruzen has probably given up on Uchiha Makoto. He directly sent a number of elite Jonin to rescue, wouldn't the success rate be even greater? Sarutobi Hiruzen was just pretending to stabilize people's hearts. However, there is one thing to say, Sarutobi Hiruzen's decision is indeed not wrong. Sacrifice one Uchiha Makoto to keep more people safe. Reason why he forcibly ordered Lee to save Uchiha Makoto should be because of Lee's space ninjutsu. As long as there is space ninjutsu, Lee Yi can easily escape. Sarutobi Hiruzen, that old slick, is using me as a tool. If they lose, let me escape with Tsunade and the others. Lee Yi narrowed his eyes and thought. Lee Yi suddenly opened his mouth and asked, actually, the person sent by the 3 generations to help me is not you, right? Tsunade stopped running, but didn't speak. Do you think that the reason why Makoto chose this suicidal act is that you were afraid to face you and blame yourself, so you came with me to save her, right? Lee Yi asked again. I don't understand what you're saying. Tsunade shook his head. Okay, stop pretending, Tsunade, I know it's you. Lee Yi said angrily. As soon as these words came out, Tsunade immediately stopped running, turned around, stood under the moonlight, and looked at Lee Yi quietly. Chapter 265 Tsunade's Decision. Under the moonlight, Tsunade slowly took off his mask, revealing that beautiful face. However, before Lee Yi could speak, Tsunade suddenly moved. A gust of fragrant wind blows. Immediately, Lee Yi felt his lips being bitten by Tsunade. That's right, she's not kissing, she's biting. In an instant, a bloody smell flowed into the mouth. It hurt a little, Lee Yi frowned slightly. But the next moment, Tsunade stopped biting and started the real kiss. He hugged Lee Yi's neck and kissed wildly. Feeling Tsunade's enthusiasm, Lee Yi also stretched out his hands and hugged her waist. Under the moonlight, the man and woman bite each other. I do not know how long it has been. Both are suffocating. Tsunade finally took a half step back, licked the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, Lee Yi, I don't want to give up on you. Lee Yi nodded. I really don't want to give up on you. Tsunade burst into tears and his voice became choked up. Lee Yi nodded again. But Tsunade suddenly changed the conversation. Lee Yi could react. With a bang, Tsunade slashed directly on Lee Yi's neck with a knife. Master. I am sorry, Lee Yi. These were the last 2 sentences that Lee Yi heard before he fell into a coma. They were from 2 different women. Tsunade put the unconscious Lee Yi and Uzumaki Violet in a relatively secret place, making sure that the 2 would not be discovered by the beasts or ninjas from other villages, and then they left with peace of mind. Lee Yi, farewell. Uchiha Makoto did stupid things because of me, so even if I die, I have to keep her alive. Makoto, in the days to come, help me take good care of Lee Yi, and I will bless you both in the kingdom of heaven and grow old together. Tsunade ran fast, and in the gale, 2 tears flowed from the corners of her eyes and evaporated with the wind. Ding! The system detects that the host faints. Ding! The system detects that the host faints. Ding! The system detects that the host faints. Lee Yi fainted. The crisp sound of the system kept echoing in his mind. Originally, Tsunade's blow could at least make Lee Yi sleep for a long time. However, Lee Yi only fell asleep for more than 10 minutes before being woken up. He sat up abruptly. Recalling the previous scene, Lee Yi's brows furrowed. Tsunade blamed herself, so she went to save Makoto with the heart of dying. Without any hesitation, Lee Yi immediately closed his eyes and sensed where Tsunade was. I thought Tsunade was ahead. Unexpectedly, Tsunade is in the back right. That is to say, she was worried that Lee Yi was going to save her, so she ran the wrong direction on purpose. This woman. Lee Yi secretly bit Kiba. Fortunately, there is a door to fruit, otherwise, he would not even know where Tsunade is. However, Lee Yi was not in a hurry to act. At Tsunade's current speed, it would take at least 10 minutes to leave the space-sensing range of the door fruit. Other words, Lee Yi can rush to Tsunade's side at any time. This is the fundamental reason why Lee Yi is calm. Lee Yi wakes up Uzumaki Violet next to him. Violet woke up and saw Lee Yi. The first sentence was, Master, are you all right? Lee Yi shook his head slightly. I'm fine, let's go and chase Tsunade. I'll treat the master first. Uzumaki Violet put a warm little hand on Li Yi's neck. After the bruises on their necks were healed, they set off to chase Tsunade. Tsunade, I absolutely will never let you have an accident. There was still a faint fragrance left on his lips, and Li Yi held his hands tightly. Chapter 266 _ Good Mouth. This is a mountain. There is a cave on the mountain. However, the entrance of the cave was shrouded in a faint green light. It is precisely because of the blocking of this layer of green light that no one can enter the cave. Around the cave, there were many people standing. These people are all ninjas of the Land of Winds, and each one is very powerful. Not only around the cave, but around the entire mountain, there are countless ninjas in ambush. Ambush. Even a fly can't break through these people's defenses. Brother, how long are we going to wait here? In front of the cave, a big man asked impatiently. In front of him stood a Yuhi-haired man. He was very calm and said, "It depends on that little girl from the Uchiha clan. When are you going to come out? What if that chick is going to live in it for the rest of her life?" Said the big man. "Don't worry, she can't be in it all her life, at most one day, she will be expelled. She is not a creature of that world and can't stay there for too long." Yuhi made the man smile and shook his head. "Oh, then I'll wait for that chick to come out, kill her first, and then insult her. Hee, after all these years, I haven't tasted the Uchiha clan yet." The big man smiled, his expression wretched. Yuhi made the man frown slightly. "Isn't it okay to insult first and then kill?" "No, that would be boring." The big man shook his head. "I didn't expect you to like this." Yuhi made the man pouted. "Hey, let eldest brother laugh." The big man shook his head. Tsunade hid his breath and came around the mountain. Tsunade is not only a healing ninja, but also a perception ninja, so she has long discovered that there are no less than 100 ninjas ambushing around this mountain. Tsunade's face was a little ugly. But after all, she is someone who has experienced the baptism of war. What scene has she not seen before? Therefore, even in this desperate situation, she can find a way to live. You can only use that trick. Tsunade sighed softly in his heart. After sending Uchiha Makoto away, I will die too. I don't know if that guy will miss me after I die. Suddenly I hate Uchiha Makoto. The man who robbed me didn't tell me, and made me feel so guilty. Now I want to take my own life to save her. Was a bitter arc on Tsunade's mouth, but it's no wonder I shouldn't have left Konoha village, I should have been by Li Yi's side. She took my place during the years I was away. Li Yi is well taken care of by her, I hope she can give Li Yi happiness in the future. Quote. In just a few seconds, Tsunade thought a lot. She didn't have any ink marks, she just sighed for a few seconds and planned to act. However, just as she was about to set off, she suddenly felt an itch in her back. Immediately, Tsunade's eyes snapped. Because in her perception, behind her, a breath appeared out of thin air. Tsunade didn't confirm who the other party was, and threw out a knife. But at this moment, Li Yi's voice suddenly sounded, "It's me." Tsunade stopped moving. At almost the same time, Li Yi hugged Tsunade and fell into the door under his feet. However, the power of Tsunade's sword was real, and it caused a gust of wind. Call. Howling wind. Several ninjas from the Land of Winds rushed over immediately, but no one was found, thinking that it was just an ordinary weather phenomenon, so they left one after another. Chapter 267 _ Polygamy. In space. Tsunade looked around curiously and asked, "Where is this?" "This is my space." Li Yi replied, "You are safe here." "When did you learn space ninjutsu?" Tsunade's expression became incredible. "It's been a long time ago, but I'm not skilled, so I haven't used it." Li Yi made up a random sentence, and then said, "I have sensed Makoto's position, but I can't enter that place. Where Makoto is now, between the real world and the psychic world, it is reasonable that your space ninjutsu cannot go to her side. Tsunade nodded and said, "Not for that reason." Lee Yi shook his head. She gave me the feeling that she was in a very small space that could only accommodate him alone. If I were by her side, I would squeeze her out. Tsunade's eyes lit up and he suddenly realized, I understand, this is the fundamental reason why the ninjas of the Land of Winds can't enter the cave. The cave has been occupied by Makoto alone, and neither they nor us can enter the cave now. Well, that's probably why. Lee Yi nodded. Tsunade suddenly looked at Lee Yi curiously, and said, your space ninjutsu is so powerful that you can actually ignore the gap between the real space and the psychic space. Lee Yi just smiled, non-committal. The door fruit is known as the strongest escape fruit in the pirate world, and it has been strengthened by the system, so it can play a role in both the real world and the psychic world. However, as far as I know, every other dimension cannot keep people forever, so how long can we stay in this dimension? Tsunade asked again. An hour is no problem. Lee Yi said. Suddenly a bad smile, we can do something shy in this hour. Tsunade was taken aback. However, looking at Lee Yi's rogue-like expression and the pair of salty pig hands that kept moving, Tsunade suddenly understood, turned to Byakugan and said, what time have you been thinking about these things? Besides, you can it last an hour. Believe it or not, I'll squeeze you out in 3 minutes. Disdain tone. I don't believe it, I want to try. Lee Yi looked serious. Seeing Lee Yi-jun unbuttoning his clothes, Tsunade's cheek flushed Yuhi, and he hurriedly said, okay, I'm joking with you, you are Makoto's man, don't make such dirty jokes with me, it's inappropriate. Lee Yi wanted to say, I don't want Makoto, I just want you. However, in this case, Tsunade will be classified as a scumbag, making it impossible for the two of them in the future. Therefore, Lee Yi uttered 4 words, polygamy. However, as soon as Lee Yi finished speaking, Tsunade kicked him directly in the face. Lee Yi flew out. Tsunade scolded angrily, fuck off. I won't share my man with another woman. Never. Oh. Lee Yi rolled several times on the ground with a look of grievance. Tsunade couldn't bear it anymore, so he treated Lee Yi and said at the same time, okay, don't think about me anymore, just think about how to save Makoto. Lee Yi held Tsunade's slightly cold hand and said, after Makoto comes out, I will immediately drag her into my space and take her away. Tsunade let Lee Yi hold her hand, and said with a light head, it's a good idea, but if the ninjas in the Land of Winds shot earlier than you, or they shot you out, what should you do? Chapter 268_mean. Then you have to do it. Lee Yi said, you are responsible for protecting me, and I am responsible for pulling Makoto into this space. You believe me that much? Tsunade smiled slightly, aren't you afraid that I will trick you? Don't be afraid. Lee Yi shook his head. Why? Tsunade smiled. Come close to your ear and I'll whisper to you. Lee Yi waved towards Tsunade. Tsunade was very obedient and put his ear close. But at this moment, Lee Yi suddenly turned his head and bit Tsunade's bright Yuhi lips. That's right, not kiss, but bite. An instant, a bloody smell flowed into Tsunade's mouth. Tsunade frowned slightly and wanted to push Lee Yi away, but when she felt that the movements on Lee Yi's mouth were gradually becoming gentler, she didn't push Lee Yi away, but subconsciously stretched out her hands, trying to hold Lee Yi's neck. However, just when Tsunade wanted to respond enthusiastically to Lee Yi pushed Tsunade away. An instant, Tsunade felt empty inside. Not enough kisses yet. This was a flash of thought in her mind. Lee Yi pointed to the blood on the corner of his mouth and smiled at Tsunade. This is called treating others with their own way. Stingy, take revenge on this matter. Tsunade flipped a good-looking Byakugan. In fact, Lee Yi is revenge. Hard to catch. Violet stood aside, like an ornament, without saying a word. I heard that that space has a time limit, and when the time comes, it will repel Makoto. Lee Yi asked. That's right. Tsunade nodded. That's the point. We don't know when Makoto will come out, so we just keep staring at it and don't tolerate any sloppiness. Lee squinted his eyes and thought for a moment, then said, so, when Makoto comes out, I'll yell out to attract their attention. What do you think about taking Makoto away at this time? It's too dangerous. Tsunade shook his head. What if something happened to you? Fangshin, I won't let you be a widow for the rest of your life. Lee smiled roguely. Tsunade bowed his head slightly and said, as I said, it's impossible for the two of us. However, this time, her voice was much lower than before, and her tone seemed to be shaken. Well, when Makoto comes out, I split up a clone to attract everyone's attention, and then you take the opportunity to show up beside Makoto and pull her into your space. As long as we enter this space, we can be absolutely safe, Tsunade said. That's okay, you've got a lot of fame and it does attract them. Lee nodded, and suddenly the conversation changed. If they don't get in the game, then I'll throw out a big news to make sure they're in the game. Breaking news. What shocking news? Tsunade blinked curiously. You'll know then. Lee grinned. I hate this kind of trickery the most, bells and whistles. Tsunade snorted coldly. Lee was noncommittal. Alas. Lee sighed again, thinking, if only I had a mobile phone, I would contact Makoto. Before letting her come out, I will attract the attention of the Kingdom of Wind, and all the attention of the ninjas of the Kingdom of Wind will be there. How can I hurt Makoto on my body? What sai? Tsunade asked. Lee just wanted to shake his head, but suddenly his face changed. He opened a door the size of a baby's fist in the sky, and following the door, he could see the outside world. At this moment, at the entrance of the cave, the light suddenly shines. Uchiha Makoto is coming out. Chapter 269_Plan Success. Lee opened a door. Tsunade immediately separated a clone and rushed out. Darkness of the night, Tsunade appeared above the sky out of thin air and shouted, I'm here. The sudden voice made everyone stunned. Immediately afterwards, hundreds of eyes were placed on Tsunade. Who is that? Like one of Kanahasan and Tsunadeheim. Why is she standing so high in the air? Through the moonlight, everyone saw Tsunade's alluring face, and they were all puzzled. However, at this moment, a sudden light flashed in the entrance of the cave. Boom! In an instant, the night seemed to turn directly into day. Because it was too bright, many people couldn't help but close their eyes. A woman flew out of the cave, her clothes were a little torn, and her white skin was exposed. However, because the light was too bright, no one could see her. Lee hid in the fruit space. Instead of seeing with his eyes, he sensed with the door fruit. Therefore, the moment the woman came out, Lee opened a door directly on her. Lee immediately ran out the door and stood on the ground. In the eyes of others, Lee just appeared behind Uchiha Makoto out of thin air. Lee grabbed Uchiha Makoto with both hands, stomped his right foot at the same time, a door appeared under his feet instantly, and the two fell into the door. At this time, the light that erupted from the cave still did not dissipate. This light really helped a lot. Lee's mouth twitched slightly. Without the dazzling light, he would not have been so successful. However, at this moment, a sound of dragon roar suddenly sounded in Lee's body. Roar! A huge golden dragon flew out from Lee's body, roaring and rushing to the back. Ding! With a sharp sound like the sound of metal symphony, the golden dragon was directly split in half, and an invisible shuriken appeared. Because of the golden dragon's blocking, the speed of the shuriken slowed for a moment, and at this moment, Lee and Uchiha Makoto fell into the door. If not, the heads of both of them may have been cut off. Damn it, surprised me. Lee cursed inwardly. The door on the roof is about to close. But at this moment, countless explosive talismans flew in. Lee's face changed. So many explosive charms, exploding in this confined space, will produce a chain explosion reaction. At that time, I and others may not even have ashes left. The falling speed of the explosive charm is too fast, and Lee has no time to defend. But at this moment, Tsunade suddenly shouted, "Ha!" I saw her clenching her right hand and slamming it towards the top. Boom! An invisible airflow, like a flood passing through the border, whistled out towards the sky. In an instant, almost all the explosive symbols were blown away. The door is closed. However, there was an explosive sign that slipped through the net and floated in. Violet's expression changed, and she hurriedly stood in front of Li Yi, using herself as a shield. Tsunade wants to use the technique of Baihao to become immortal in a short time. However, the explosive charm did not explode. Huh. Tsunade frowned slightly and picked up the explosive charm. Then, she smiled brightly and said, "I don't know where the Wind Kingdom bought the inferior products. The explosion rune on it is wrong, how could it explode?" Violet breathed a sigh of relief. Tsunade glanced at Violet curiously, and there was an inexplicable glitter in her beautiful eyes. Chapter 270 _ You are so stupid. Outside world. Uchiha Makoto disappeared out of thin air. Tsunade in the sky also turned into a cloud of white mist with a bang and disappeared without a trace. Clone Jutsu. Space Ninjutsu. Many ninjas were stunned. Damn it. We've been fooled. An elite Jonin roared. Tsunadeheim used the avatar technique to attract our attention, while Tsunadeheim's accomplices used space ninjutsu to save Uchiha Makoto. I didn't expect there would be such a strong man in Konoha village. Sir, is it Namikaze Minato? A woman asked. No, Namikaze Minato has yellow hair, but the other party has black hair, and I'm very unfamiliar with that face. He shouldn't have participated in the Ninja World War, and even if he did, he wouldn't be outstanding. That is, a ninja who has never participated in space ninjutsu. If he participated in the Ninja War, it would be difficult to think of not being famous. The woman nodded. Then he asked, Sir, what should we do now? Uchiha Makoto must have brought something good. We can't just watch the baby slip out of our hands, right? Don't bother me, I was thinking. That elite Jonin frowned, his eyes flickered, thinking crazy. However, he couldn't think of a way. Space ninjutsu has no solution. Damn it, the other party has space ninjutsu, and he may have fled back to Konoha village now. We can't hit Konoha village VIPs. In order to vent his anger, the man smashed a stone bigger than him into powder with one punch. However, just when the man was about to give up, suddenly, the woman's eyes lit up and said, Sir, there are 3 Uchiha people there, should we catch them? The woman points to the left rear. Uchiha, or 3. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, incredulous. But the next moment, he nodded sharply and shouted, Catch them alive. Don't let them run away. Quick. More than 100 Jonin, overwhelming the sky, flew towards the grass in the distance. And among the grass, 3 figures jumped out like bereaved dogs. At the same time, in the fruit space. Because the explosive talisman did not explode, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Silence. Suddenly, a weak but unable to hide surprise voice broke the silence and entered Li Yi's ears. Li Yi. Li Yi looked down. It was because he lowered his head that he didn't see it. Tsunade's delicate body trembled slightly. Li Yi looked down at Uchiha Makoto without speaking. The clothes on the latter's body were torn and tattered, and a large area of her white skin was exposed. She had tears in her eyes, which made people feel distressed, and choked. Why did you save me? Why do you want to die? Li Yi frowned and asked. I. Uchiha Makoto cried harder, big drops of tears flowing from her beautiful eyes, wet her long hair, and also wet Li Yi's clothes. At this moment, Princess Li Yijung is holding Uchiha Makoto. He put Uchiha Makoto on the ground. I don't want to delay you. Uchiha Makoto sat on the ground and choked. I did something wrong, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to delay you, so it's better to die. Alas. This sigh was not from Li Yi, nor from Violet, but Tsunade. She looked at Uchiha Makoto and sighed, "You're so stupid." Li Yi immediately flipped a Byakugan and said angrily, "You still have the face to talk about others." Chapter 271-Sisters. By Li Yi, Tsunade pouted. Alas. Li Yi sighed lightly. These two women are really disturbing. Uchiha Makoto felt guilty and wanted to die. Tsunade felt guilty and tried desperately to save Makoto. Fortunately, Li Yi woke up in time, otherwise, these two might be dead. Seeing that Tsunade was also here, Uchiha Makoto lowered his head in shame. Makoto, no matter what happens in the future, you can't make fun of your life. Tsunade walked up to Makoto and taught, "You only have one life, if you lose it you can never come back." "I see, Tsunade-sama." Makoto lowered his head and nodded slightly, not daring to look directly at Tsunade. Tsunade smiled casually, "You don't have to be so polite, just call me my sister, and you are not weak. If you were born a few years earlier and were about the same age as me, you might be more famous than me." "Sister, elder sister is joking." Makoto head tapped. A wicked smile appeared on Li Yi's face. "What are you laughing at?" Tsunade frowned and asked. "I'm so happy, it's great that you two can become sisters." Li Yi said with a smile. Tsunade heard the implication in Li Yi's words, and without Makoto noticing, he gave Li Yi a blank look. Violet looked at the eye contact between Tsunade and Li Yi, and thought, "Why do I always feel that these two are in love?" "Oh yes, I got this thing." Makoto took out a green gem. Tsunade's eyes lit up. "It's something between two worlds." "Does it work?" Seeing Tsunade's excited appearance, Li Yi asked curiously. "Of course there is." Tsunade nodded and explained, "As we all know, the world of ninjas and the world of psychics communicate with each other, and creatures from the two worlds can communicate with each other, but their time is limited." "Well, indeed." Li Yi nodded. In the original work of Hokage, the toad summoned by Naruto can only stay in the real world for a period of time, not forever. But with this thing, it's different. Tsunade held the gemstone, dangled it in front of Li Yi, and said with a smile like a flower, "This is neither the ninja world nor the psychic world, but the product of the junction of the two worlds. With this thing, I can study how to make the creatures of the two worlds stay in each other's world for a longer time." "What's the use of studying this?" Li Yi tilted his head and asked. "Of course it works." Tsunade nodded. "In the psychic world, there are many rare resources, which are very scarce in the ninja world. For example, the materials used to make weapons such as kunai and long swords, if mined in the psychic world, the amount of mining in 1 day, it is equivalent to the amount mined in the ninja world in 50 days or even 100 days. So it is. Li Yi nodded. It seems that no matter in which world, resources are the treasures that all parties must compete for. In order to snatch this resource, the Land of Wind might have dispatched the vast majority of Jonin in the country to contain Makoto, but Li Yi easily rescued him. With this thing, our research in the village of Konoha will definitely go to the next level. Tsunade's eyes, looking at the emerald in his hand, he couldn't wait to say, "Let's go back quickly, time doesn't wait." "Wait, there is a situation." Li Yi spoke suddenly, interrupting Tsunade's words. Chapter 272-Save or Not. Uchiha Makoto, Tsunade, and Violet were all silent. Li Yi opened a door the size of a palm, and looked outside through the door. Immediately, he looked back and said, "3 of Uchiha's clansmen are being hunted down." Makoto's expression changed slightly. Tsunade asked, "Are they Uchiha Fugaku?" "I didn't see their appearance clearly, but it should be them." Li Yi nodded. Sarutobi Hiruzen said before that in addition to Li Yi's team, Uchiha Fugaku also came. "Then we're going to save him?" Tsunade asked. "No help." Lee Yi shook his head. Why? Tsunade blinked. I have a grudge against that Uchiha Fugaku. Lee Yi said frankly. So you are now avenging your personal revenge. Tsunade smiled teasingly. Well, that's right. Lee Yi generously admitted. As a ninja, what you do is not advisable. Tsunade said with a smile. It doesn't matter, I didn't kill it anyway. Lee Yi was as if nothing had happened. Tsunade thought thoughtfully and said, it seems that there is indeed a deep hatred between you. If that's the case, then we won't save them. Let them live and die. Lee Yi thought Tsunade was saying something ironic, so he glanced at her. However, Tsunade looked as usual and didn't seem to be saying the opposite. Oh. Lee Yi was a little surprised. The kind Tsunade, who can't help him? Tsunade smiled and said, I'm not a saint, I only care about the person I care about. Since he's your enemy, then we won't save it. How about it? I'm facing you, aren't you very happy? After speaking, Tsunade gave Lee Yi a playful smile. Originally, she wanted to be a mute and not say a word to Lee Yi in front of Uchiha Makoto. After all, the two of them have already had a substantive relationship, so if he stepped in, wouldn't he be a mistress? However, Tsunade herself didn't know why. When she saw Uchiha Makoto, she had a special urge to express in front of Makoto, and a thought to beat Makoto. It was because of this thought that Tsunade asked Makoto, Makoto, what are you going to do? As soon as these words came out, Lee Yi immediately gave Tsunade a surprised look. It's hard to imagine that Tsunade asked this question. If Makoto said save, it would be at odds with Lee Yi. If Makoto doesn't save her, then she's a wolf-hearted person. The other party is a member of your Uchiha clan. How dare you be so cruel? So, whatever Makoto answers, it's wrong. This girl, she said something nice and said to let me go to Makoto. In fact, she was very angry, so she deliberately made things difficult for Makoto. Lee resolutely said. I have to say that a woman's mind is really hard to figure out. I know Akatsuki a thing or two about the conflict between Uchiha Fugaku and Lee Yi, and I also know the truth. I don't know if others are suffering, and I don't want to persuade others to be kind. Therefore, it is up to Lee Yi to decide whether to save him or not. Uchiha Makoto said. Hearing this, Lee Yi smiled. This is a good answer. Tsunade thought to himself, this little girl can speak quite well. System, if someone else kills Uchiha Fugaku, can I still get a reward? Lee Yi asked in his heart. Answer the host, no. The system's voice was crisp and answered. Is that so? Lee Yi squinted his eyes, thought for a moment, and then opened his mouth, saying, righteously, no matter what they say, they are still people from our Konoha village. I can't watch them die, so I'm going to save them. Chapter 273-Weird. Uchiha Fugaku ran for their lives frantically. At this moment, they burst out with an unprecedented desire to survive. Behind them, hundreds of Jonins, elite Jonins, and even cage-level ninjas are chasing them. Big brother, what should I do? I don't want to die. Mom, I want to find Mom. Uchiha Fugaku were all crying. Uchiha Fugaku looked gloomy and said, if you have time to cry here, why not think about how to escape? Big brother, we can't escape. Yeah, big brother, if you don't stand behind, you are so strong anyway. Let us brothers run for a while, and then you can catch up, okay? The two cried. Uchiha Fugaku's mouth twitched slightly. The two brothers of him really expressed the words, the disaster is imminent, and vividly expressed it. Suddenly, Uchiha Fugaku's face changed slightly. Behind him, tens of thousands of invisible wind knives rushed towards the three of them. The wind knife is extremely sharp. Once it is cut, I am afraid that it will lose its combat effectiveness in an instant. Uchiha Fugaku turned on the three-tomo Sharingan directly and glanced back. Can't escape. Almost at the same time, he came to this conclusion. There are too many air knives, and there is no dead angle at all. No way. Uchiha Fugaku bit Kiba and turned around abruptly. Because of inertia, his feet rubbed the ground and slipped back 3 or 4 meters. At the same time, he quickly hand-sealed with both hands and shouted, "Kaden Fire Style, Great Fireball Jutsu." Boom. Ferocious flames spewed out of Uchiha Fugaku's mouth, carrying the temperature that burned everything, and rushed towards those wind knives. Seeing this scene, all the faces of Jonin from the land of winds are full of ridicule and disdain. A mere C-rank ninjutsu can block our wind knife. Overcome. It was a common thought in all of them. However, the next moment, something that surprised them happened. You must know that the Great Fireball Jutsu has a wide area and is suitable for group attacks, but it does not do much damage. Although the area of the air knife is small, its power is concentrated at one point and the damage is great. Logically speaking, when the air knife is in contact with the flame, it will be like cutting tofu, penetrating the flame without any obstruction. However, when the air knife touched the flame, it was instantly evaporated and disappeared without a trace. What? Many Jonin changed slightly. What happened? This is too unscientific. Taking advantage of their surprise, Uchiha Fugaku immediately turned around and ran at full speed. An elite Jonin recovered from his surprise and shouted, "These 3 Uchiha clan members are weird. Let's stop playing monkeys and go all out to catch them alive." Good. The ninjas all nodded. Uchiha Fugaku has the heart to cry. Although he made a surprising move just now, the 3 of them did not escape, but the pressure surged. Can't escape. Uchiha Fugaku was desperate. Hundreds of ninjas rushed from the rear and sides, getting closer and closer. "Big brother, I don't want to die. Mom." The other 2 Uchiha clansmen cried and cried. Uchiha Fugaku's face was gloomy, and he shouted, "The big deal is that the fish will die and the net will be broken." His body stopped suddenly, and the shape of the pupils of the 3 Tomo Sharingan changed again, wanting to fight 100 times. But at this moment, a black hole suddenly appeared under the feet of the 3 of them. None of the 3 of them could fly, so they fell straight into it. It's that person again. Take action. I'd rather kill them than let them run away. All of a sudden, all the ninjas took action one after another, killing the sky. Chapter 274 Make Him Suffer. Explosion Talisman, Kunai, Wind Blade, Energy Ray. Countless ultimate moves, like a rain of flowers falling from the sky, falling to the black hole that appeared out of thin air on the earth. If these ultimate moves fall on one person, then, even if the other party is a cage-level ninja, I am afraid they will be destroyed alive. Even if you kill them, you can't let them run away. This is the only thought in the minds of all the Land of Winds Jonin. But at this moment, a golden light suddenly flashed in the black hole, and immediately a thick golden stick came out of the black hole and shot straight into the sky. Boom boom boom. The next moment, the explosion sounded in the sky. I saw the explosion talisman, Kunai, energy rays. All the ultimate moves were blocked by the golden stick, and none of them were spared. The golden stick is unstoppable. Everyone was stunned. What is this? Why is it so hard? They are not ordinary people, and they all came back to their senses and shouted, "Use all your strength to blow this thing up, we must not let them run away today." So, everyone wanted to do it again. But now a young and loud voice suddenly came out from the black hole, and it sounded between the heaven and the earth. "You Jinchuriki column force from Shukaku, the land of wind, is a monk named Bunpuku. You guys, if you don't want him to die, stop attacking me." Almost everyone's movements stopped for a moment. The amount of information in this sentence is a bit large. At this moment, the golden stick disappeared instantly, and the black hole above the earth also disappeared without a trace. Only then did everyone react, and they all bit Kiba and gnashed their teeth. His grandma's was played. However, only the vast majority of people were surprised by Li Yi's words, not all of them. Therefore, there are still many people attacking and rushing into the door. Li Yi immediately released 2 golden dragons, blocking all attacks from Kunai, Explosion Talisman, Wind Blade. In the Devil Fruit space, the 2 golden dragons were smashed into pieces and turned into nothingness. Li Yi received a backlash, groaned, and his body couldn't help but take a half step back. Fortunately, Uchiha Makoto supported him in time, otherwise, Li Yi would be sitting on the ground now. Looking at Uchiha Makoto's caring eyes with tender love, there were 2 people in the room who were very upset. One is Tsunade. The other is Uchiha Fugaku. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku's situation was many times more miserable than Li Yi. Both of his arms are gone. There was blood all over the place. In fact, when he fell into the door, his limbs were still intact. But now, he has become armless. Who did it? Li Yi. Just now, the Dinghai Shenzhen slanted in a direction and smashed Uchiha Fugaku's 2 arms. That's right, Li Yi did it on purpose. To be honest, Li Yi just wanted to hit Uchiha Fugaku directly with the Dinghai Shinpin. But he didn't do it in the end. Not that he's kind, but that he wants Uchiha Fugaku to experience life as death for a few days before sending him on the road. Li Yi once swore that he would return the pain that Uchiha Fugaku had brought him back tenfold and 100-fold. Now I have received his 2 arms, just a little interest. Don't worry, before you die, I will definitely make your life worse than death. When you cry and beg me to kill you, I will fulfill your wish. Li Yi's mouth raised an indiscernible cold arc. Li Yi, he's dying, should I treat him? If you don't agree, I won't save him. Tsunade asked, pointing to Uchiha Fugaku, who was dying in a pool of blood. It is hard to imagine that such words would come from the mouth of Tsunade Haim, who is merciful and compassionate. Chapter 275-Complex Relationship. Uchiha Fugaku's heart burst into flames. How to speak? I'm dying, why don't you save me? Are you from Konoha village? Are you a qualified medical ninja? However, when he saw Tsunade's prosperous face, his whole body froze. Tsunade-sama. His face became extremely unbelievable, and he stammered tremblingly, Master Tsunade, how could it be you? Why can't it be me? Tsunade smiled at Uchiha Fugaku. You, a big man like you, how can you follow a... Okay, shut up, you're really dead if you talk again. Tsunade interrupted coldly. Then he turned his head, his expression suddenly became gentle, looked at Li Yi and said, Li Yi, make a decision, save him or not. If you don't save him, then your reputation may be bad. Li Yi touched his chin. Hi, my reputation doesn't matter, I've never cared about my reputation after all these years. Tsunade waved his jade hand indifferently. Li Yi teased a smile. In the original Hokage book, Tsunade is a woman who doesn't care about her image. Although she is one of the legendary Sannin, her reputation has not been very good. What fat sheep, bad temper, violent women. All kinds of bad nicknames are everything. However, Tsunade didn't care at all. She just wants to live happily and beautifully. In this world, so is Tsunade's character. She knew that Uchiha Fugaku had a grudge against Li Yi, so even if her reputation was ruined, she would not make Li Yi unhappy. At this time, the 2 younger brothers of Uchiha Fugaku asked for help. Lord Tsunade, Brother Fugaku has left so much blood, please save Brother Fugaku. Yasunade-sama, if you don't save yourself, then we accidentally tell this story in the future, then your reputation. However, before they could finish speaking, Tsunade stared at them with a cold look, and asked, Are you threatening me? The tone is like the cold winter and 12th lunar month, which makes people shudder. Don't dare, we're just telling the truth. They both shook their heads hurriedly, terrified of Tsunade's domineering power. Tsunade, come with ears. At this moment, Li Yi waved towards Tsunade. Okay. Tsunade immediately turned into a little girl and ran to Lee. Lee said in Tsunade's ear, "Don't let him die, but seal his chakra." Tsunade is, hearing this, he knew that Lee wanted to torture him. However, Tsunade didn't say much, just nodded lightly, ready to do as he did. But at this moment, Lee suddenly opened his mouth and bit Tsunade's earlobe lightly. Earlobes are one of the most sensitive parts of a woman's body. Therefore, Tsunade's whole body trembled violently, and his face became Yuhi. She hurriedly glanced at Uchiha Makoto, confirming that future generations did not see it, and she breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately, she rolled her eyes at Lee, charming and charming. Lee gave a wicked smile. "HMPH, I'm ignoring you." Tsunade spoke with his mouth, looking angry, and walked quickly away from Lee. She thought that only she and Lee knew about the action just now. However, Uzumaki Violet took this scene into his eyes completely. Violet sighed softly and said to herself, Tsunade wanted to be nice to the master, but he was afraid of being seen by Makoto, so he could only be sneaky. The master liked Tsunade, but he should also have a good opinion of Makoto. Although Makoto liked the master, he didn't seem to hate Tsunade. The relationship between these three, alas, is too messy. Chapter 276-Envious. Tsunade also didn't heal Uchiha Fugaku, only temporarily stabilizing his injuries. Within an hour, Uchiha Fugaku must receive all aspects of treatment, otherwise, he will surely die, and even if the Deluo Immortal comes, he will not be able to save him. Okay. Tsunade stood up, clapped his hands, looked at Uchiha Fugaku in front of his feet and said, "Go out and go back by yourself." Uchiha Fugaku opened his mouth, "Huh? Ah, what? Can't understand what I'm saying." Tsunade's tone was cold and indifferent, and he said, "I have no obligation to take you back." At the same time, a door appeared beside Uchiha Fugaku out of thin air. Uchiha Fugaku bit Kiba, gave Tsunade a vicious look, and then said to the two younger brothers, "Take me away." The two little brothers stood on the ground indifferent. They dare not go out. There are so many enemies outside, wouldn't it be death to go out? Lee smiled and said, "Beyond the door is the territory of our country of fire, so there will be no danger." Uchiha Fugaku frowned slightly and looked at Lee suspiciously. How did this crap know? He thought this space was Tsunade's. However, he didn't ask any more, but snorted again, "Take me out." His two younger brothers were no longer worried and helped him away. As a result, in the devil fruit space, again, only Lee, Tsunade, Makoto, and Violet were left. Teleport to any location. Lee, your ability is very powerful. Tsunade blinked curiously and said, "It's not a random teleportation. You must have been to this place before you can teleport here." Lee explained. "Oh, it's almost the same as the Hiraishin ninjutsu created by the second grandpa." Tsunade narrowed his eyes. Suddenly the conversation changed. "I remember that in our Konoha village, there was a ninja named Namikaze Minato. He knew the technique of Hiraishin. He is an extremely good ninja. When I have time, I will take you to meet him." However, as soon as Tsunade finished speaking, Makoto said, "Lee and Minato already know each other and have a good relationship." Makoto suddenly interrupted because she was a little upset. "Oh, you introduced it?" Tsunade narrowed his eyes. Makoto replied, "I have a friend named Uzumaki Kushina." Before Makoto could finish speaking, Tsunade nodded. "I see, that's it. I haven't seen that girl Kushina for a long time. Is she pregnant with Minato's child?" Huh. Makoto froze in place. What kind of problem is this? They are not married, how could they have a child? Tsunade said with a smile, "When they were in their early teens, when they were still in ninja school, they were a couple that everyone recognized. They were very affectionate at that time. After all these years, I don't believe they didn't taste the forbidden fruit." "I don't know about that," Kushina never told me that. Makoto shook his head. However, her cheeks were slightly yui. Because in her impression, Kushina is an old driver who knows everything, including pushing Lee, which is also Kushina's idea. Before, Makoto didn't think much about it, but after being reminded by Tsunade, Makoto suddenly realized. Kushina must have been with Minato, otherwise it would not be so dirty. I envy Kushina, the people she loves also love her, not like me. Thinking of this, Makoto's eyes suddenly turned resentful, staring at Lee perseveringly. Chapter 277-Shy Tsunade. Lee took the three daughters directly to the door of Hokage's office. This ability is so convenient. Tsunade sighed again. Not only can you hide in it, but you can go wherever you want. Lee, if you were born during the war, then this ability is very likely to make you famous in the whole ninja world, and even make you the next one. Hokage is not impossible. Quote. Lord Hokage is inside. You speak so loudly, what should he do if he hears it? Lee asked with a teasing smile. It has to be said that women focus on strangeness. You call me a bitch. Tsunade's beautiful eyes glared, and he couldn't contain his anger. I'm not a shrew. Lee was stunned for a moment. Where did I call you a bitch? But the next moment, he understood. Well, I shouldn't have called her loud. Humph. Tsunade pretended to be angry, and turned his head away with his arms crossed, pretending to ignore Lee. At this moment, Uchiha Makoto directly pushed open the door of Hokage's office. Tsunade was taken aback. Immediately, he took a deep look at Makoto. This girl obviously doesn't want me to talk too much with Lee. Tsunade thought to himself, and suddenly sighed. I don't want to talk to him either, but I just can't help it. If the two of you hadn't had that relationship, I would definitely play fair with you now, but now. Tsunade didn't think about it anymore, stretched his waist, showed a perfect and graceful figure, and said, it's been a long time since I talked to that old man, just to catch up. However, before she could finish speaking, her voice suddenly stopped, and her cheeks became yui. Because Lee patted her XX lightly. Tsunade hurriedly looked around to make sure there was no one around. He breathed a sigh of relief, gave Lee a stern look, and said with his mouth, are you crazy? What if you were seen? No one can do it. Lee gave a wicked smile. Tsunade pursed his cheeks again, and said viciously with his mouth, no one can do it. After she finished speaking, she let out a delicate snort from her chong nose and walked quickly into the office. In the office. Old man, this is what Makoto got. Tsunade put a green gemstone emitting a faint glow in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, this stone contains an enormous amount of energy. With this piece, our research technology in Konoha village will be able to advance by leaps and bounds. Sarutobi Hiruzen smoked his pipe and said, that's said, but, Makoto, you didn't do it this time. However, before he could say, yes, Tsunade said, old man, make up for it, Makoto has made up for it. You girl, am I Hokage or are you Hokage? Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Tsunade a hard look. Of course you're Hokage, are you confused? Tsunade pretended to be innocent. You. Sarutobi Hiruzen was so angry that he took a puff of cigarette and coughed. Lee teased in his heart. In fact, both of you are Hokage. Lord Hokage, I am willing to accept any punishment. Makoto was suddenly half kneeling on the ground with a sincere attitude. We'll talk about the punishment later. You go back to recuperate and rest for a few days. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand. His beloved disciples have personally interceded for her, and it would be inappropriate if he punished her again. People leave. Sarutobi Hiruzen said suddenly. Lee, you stay here. His tone was serious and his expression solemn. Seeing this, Lee knew that something big was going to happen. Chapter 278-Daimyo. Tsunade said, I want to stay too. You go out. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand in an imperative tone. No, I'm not going out. Tsunade is stubborn. Reason why he is so stubborn is because he is worried that something will happen to Li Yi. She was very aware of her teacher's temper. He was too disciplined and almost impersonal. Li Yi's ability is very powerful. What if Sarutobi Hiruzen sends Li Yi on some dangerous missions? Therefore, she insisted on staying, not because she was willful, but because she cared about Li Yi. Kato Dan and Nawaki are both dead. Li Yi, I have only you, and I will never let you have an accident. Tsunade looked at Li Yi's slightly thin figure and swore in his heart. Nawaki is Tsunade's younger brother, and the importance to Tsunade can be imagined. As for Kato Dan, in the original book, he was Tsunade's lover, and it was because of him that Tsunade never married in his life, so you can imagine how important he is to Tsunade. Of course, in this world, because of Li Yi's sidestep, Kato Duan and Tsunade are at most Yuhi Yan Lanyan's confidant. But even so, Kato Dan is one of Tsunade's 3 most important men. Now, 2 of the 3 men have died, and only Li Yi is left. From this, we can see the status of Li Yi in Tsunade's heart now. Get out. I'm not kidding you, it's an order. Sarutobi Hiruzen hit the table hard with his pipe, making a crisp thud. Tsunade was startled. She wanted to object. Li Yi grabbed Tsunade's little hand, squeezed it lightly, and comforted her. I'm fine, you go out first, I'll tell you later. His smile, like the spring breeze in February and the bright moon in his arms, makes people feel at ease. Tsunade then agreed. Okay, don't be brave. Don't worry. Li Yi nodded and suddenly smiled badly. How about I kiss you as a guarantee? Fuck off. Tsunade turned over a good-looking big Byakugan, with a soft and delicate voice, like she was acting like a spoiled child. Afterwards, Tsunade left, leaving only Li Yi and Sarutobi Hiruzen in the room. Li Yi, don't worry too much about being a person. Sarutobi Hiruzen said suddenly and deeply. Ah. Li Yi was speechless. Sarutobi Hiruzen continued. 1 woman is enough, how many more women do you want to harm? Each of those 3 women is an alluring woman, and each one has a good impression on you. Which one do you want to choose? 1. Lord Hokage, you kept me here just to talk about this. Li Yi tilted his head and asked. You answer me. Sarutobi Hiruzen said while smoking a cigarette. I refuse to answer. Li Yi shook his head lightly. Hey you boy. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up. Tsunade is my apprentice and the granddaughter of the first Hokage. If you dare to play with her feelings, the daimyo in Konoha village will not let you go. Kaharu Udatane has a move. Li Yi asked directly. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly mentioned the daimyo, and Kaharu Udatane is one of the daimyo of Konoha village and one of the supreme rulers of the Fire Country, so Li Yi will think of her. Well, that's right. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. The things you asked me to do have now been done. I just want to get rid of the daimyo, so let's take this opportunity. Did the big name room notice it? Li Yi touched his chin and asked. As far as I know, no. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head confidently. Although they have absolute minds, their strength is not strong. My people, even if they are doing things under their noses, they will not notice. Chapter 279_Assassination Plan. You left me just to tell me about it. Li Yi asked. Of course not. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head and explained, I want you to kill someone. Who? Li Yi was not surprised and asked calmly. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, you don't need to worry about who he is, you just kill him quietly and don't show his legs. Is he from our Konoha village or from the outer village? Li Yi squinted his eyes and asked. The former. Sarutobi Hiruzen replied. Hearing this, Li Yi's brows immediately wrinkled slightly. In the original work of Hokage, although Sarutobi Hiruzen is ruthless, because he is too strict with the rules, it indirectly leads to the death of many people, such as Kakashi's father. However, in the original work, Sarutobi Hiruzen never took the initiative to kill a compatriot. No matter how bad the opponent was, even Orochimaru, Sarutobi Hiruzen softened his heart and didn't kill him, just crippled his hands. However, the Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of him took the initiative to ask to kill the people of Konoha village. Incredible. It seems that the world, because of me, the shit stick, is gradually changing. Li Yi smiled inwardly. I will arrange the most suitable time and place for you, so that you can do it without any hidden dangers. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of cigarette and said, however, his strength is very strong. Although he has not reached the elite level of Jonin, he is about the same. So you have to be careful. Quote. His strength is so strong, that is to say, I may be killed by him. Li Yi narrowed his eyes. You have space ninjutsu, he wants to kill you, it's hard. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head. Li Yi won't believe his nonsense. This bad old man is very bad. In order to achieve his goals, anyone can be used as a pawn. Want me to kill him? Yes, but I'll take someone with me. Li Yi said. You can't bring Tsunade. Sarutobi Hiruzen said. I didn't say I was going to take her either. Li Yi smiled and shook his head. Then who are you taking with you? Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. Tsunade is the granddaughter of the first Hokage ninja god. Sarutobi Hiruzen still wants to hand over the next Hokage position to her, and naturally doesn't want her to do such dirty work. Li Yi said 3 words. Might die. Die. Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. I know him, he doesn't have chakra, he can only practice taijutsu, but he is very diligent, so he became a genin. Having said that, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly changed his words. He is very likely to be a burden to you, are you sure you want to take him? Hearing the word, cumbersome, Li Yi smiled directly. Although Might Dai's the 8 inner gates is not as good as Might Guy's play, it is also an existence that completely defeated the famous ninja sword 7 people in the ninja world with one's own power. Moreover, Might Dai is very honest and down to earth, without any scheming, let alone cheating people. To say that in the entire Konoha village, Li Yi feels the most security, only Might Dai, no one. I'm sure. Li Yi nodded without hesitation. Might Dai is the kind of great person who would rather die himself than protect his teammates. With Might Dai by his side, Li Yi can feel at ease. Yes, I will try to cover up your figure and face at that time. After about 3 days, you will be able to do it. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded lightly. Li Yi squinted his eyes and said in his heart, Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth is so stern, it seems that the person he is going to kill is a super person. Chapter 280 _ Any request. Walk out of the Hokage office. Tsunade, Makoto, and Violet were waiting outside the door. Seeing Li Yi walk out, Tsunade and Makoto immediately asked, what did the old man, Hokage-sama, say to you? Just to get me out on a mission. Li Yi said. What mission? What level? The 2 women spoke in unison. B level, a very easy task, you don't have to worry about it. Li Yi said with a smile. Makoto's mind was pure, and he was relieved to hear this. However, how could Tsunade, who has been on the battlefield, easily believe what Li Yi said? Really, don't lie to me. Tsunade squinted at Lee Takeshi. Why should I lie to you? Li Yi asked with a smile. HMPH, you'd better not lie to me, or I will never talk to you again in the future. Tsunade thought for a moment before making the threat. What a vicious threat, Tilda. Makoto suddenly had an urge in his heart. I hope Li Yi is lying to her, so that the 2 of them will never be able to talk again. Everyone left the floor and came outside. A beautiful woman in a kimono is waiting. Seeing everyone coming out, the beautiful woman immediately came forward, her expression neither sad nor happy. Uchiha Makoto's footsteps stopped slightly, looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, his face suddenly turned pale. Li Yi just wanted to say hello to the beautiful woman, but the beautiful woman walked directly in front of Makoto, took Makoto's little hand, and forced her to leave. By Li Yi, the beautiful woman suddenly said softly, "Li Yi, I owe you a favor. You can order me to do anything. No matter how much you ask, I will agree to you." After speaking, the beautiful woman took Makoto and left. In the scene, only the faint fragrance of the beautiful woman was left, which made many ordinary men feel uneasy. Li Yi is not an ordinary man, he sniffed hard and sighed in his heart. Such a fragrant body fragrance, this is a superb stunner. "Have you met Uchiha?" Tsunade looked at the figures of the two women leaving, frowned slightly, and asked Li Yi. "Beautiful woman is Uchiha Makoto's mother, Uchiha He." "Well, I have seen it." Li Yi nodded. "Did she do anything to you?" Tsunade asked. "No." Li Yi lied. He couldn't tell Tsunade about Shugongsha, could he? Tsunade's tone was serious, and he reminded, "This woman is not simple, you should be careful, don't have close contact with her, or she will eat you to the bone." Hearing this, Li Yi remembered what Uchiha had just said before leaving. "I can grant you any request, no matter how excessive." Li Yi gave a wretched smile and thought to himself, is it even possible to do that? Of course, Li Yi is not 250 who was dazed by beauty. Uchiha has a lot of connections and power. If Uchiha owes him a favor, then in the future, in Konoha village, or even in the entire ninja world, there may be help. Therefore, only a fool would waste such an important opportunity on a joy. "I heard that Violet just became our Konoha village." At this moment, Tsunade pointed to Violet and asked, "Where does she live?" "Stay at my house." Li Yi said. "No." Tsunade's face changed, and he immediately shook his head. How can a single man and a widow be in the same room? "Violet, you can stay at my house in the future." Violet said, "I will go wherever Li Yi tells me to go." In front of outsiders, Violet cannot call Li Yi the master, this is Li Yi's rule.